Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I am here to do my May wrap-up. In May, I read a grand total of 4 books. I thought that it was more than that until I went to plan this wrap-up, but it is 4 books total. I have 3 2018 YA releases as well as a book from 2016, and I'm going to be talking about these in ascending order from the one I liked the least to the one I liked the most. That's it. This is a wrap-up. Let's get going. So the first book that I'm going to talk about is American Panda by Gloria Chao. This came out, I think, back in February or March, possibly. This book is about a young Taiwanese girl named May who is just starting her freshman year at MIT. For her entire life, May has had these really intense expectations placed on her by her parents that she was going to go to school early, become a doctor, marry a nice Taiwanese man, and eventually have a whole lot of kids. But May's chronic germophobia, as well as the fact that she finds herself falling for a Japanese boy named Darren, is making it seem less and less like that future that her parents envisioned for her is possible. And then May gets the chance to reconnect with her brother, who is estranged from the family for marrying the wrong woman, and she really gets to kind of voice all of these feelings about herself and growing up that she never has been able to before. This book was definitely super cute if you are looking for a romance. The romance between May and Darren is really nice, really lovely. Like, they go on hot coffee dates. It's cute. Prepare yourselves. I did really like the aspect of this book that was May dealing with her parents, dealing with their expectations, and trying to fit in her own expectations into her life. Unfortunately, I just couldn't love the writing of this book, which really held me at a distance from the rest of the story. May is a lot younger than the rest of her classmates. She is at MIT a year early, but the entire narration feels a lot younger than 17. The writing aspects of this book definitely frustrated me as compared to some of the deeper cultural stuff it was dealing with. I definitely liked aspects of it, but there were just a few that I felt were left to be desired, and I wound up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. Next up, I want to talk about Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli, which is the senior year spin-off to Simon versus the Homo sapiens agenda. I'm sure you've all been hearing about this book. Everyone has been talking about it. Came out in April, and I was pretty disappointed, I'll be honest. So this book is about Leah. She is a fat bisexual Slytherin girl who is super crushing on one of her friends' girlfriends. She's also a drummer and an artist, and she plays everything pretty close to the chest. This isn't a book about Leah discovering her bisexuality. She's already known she's bisexual for a long time. She's out to her mom, but she's not out to any of her friends. This is just sort of dealing with senior year, with the fact that her friend group is fracturing, and with the fact that Leah has a crush on a girl. Sadly, this did not hit a lot of high points for me, and that was really disappointing, considering this was basically my most anticipated release of the entire year. This just didn't have the fun or the spark of Becky Albertalli's writing. I loved her writing in Simon Versus. I adore Upside of Unrequited even a little bit more. And this just didn't have the magic, the fun, the life of those books. The things that are the hallmarks of an Albertalli book. Some of that is definitely Leah. She's a more cynical character, and I liked those aspects of Leah. I liked exploring a more cynical character who's dealing with anxiety, who really has a tendency to build up everything way too much in her head, and it's hard to read, but it's relatable to read. But the fact that that spark wasn't present at any point for any of the characters was a huge frustration. If you have fallen in love with characters from this book, like in Simon Versus, I don't think that they were given due respect in this book. It didn't feel like they were fleshed out. It felt like they were different characters. Even Simon, who I obviously love, felt like a character that was just one-dimensional and placed in this story for no real reason. There are actually a couple more problems I have with this, but they are huge spoilers. I'm currently still trying to collect my thoughts to write a spoilery review for why stuff near the end of this book deeply frustrated me. On another note, it was really fun to see how Simon has grown in the little bits that we got from Simon Versus. It was fun to see relationships from Simon Versus develop as these kids are getting older. I liked the discussion we got about college, about family, about Leah growing up with a single mom and her mom dating someone new. That entire storyline was super relatable to me and I enjoyed it. But I felt like after I rated this book, and when I initially rated it, I gave it 4 stars, I was giving it too much credit for being from an author I love and from a series I love. And the more I thought about it, the more I was disappointed in so many aspects. So I wound up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. Second to last, I want to talk about The Summer of Jordi Perez and the Best Burger in Los Angeles by Amy Spalding. This book was so cute, and because I have it right now as an ebook, I can't show you the physical cover, but just know that the spine is a rainbow and it's delightfully gay. So this book follows a girl named Abby who is obsessed with fashion and spends a lot of her time writing a plus-size fashion blog. Then one summer, she gets the chance to do an internship at her favorite local boutique, which she hopes will be able to really propel her into the fashion world. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, this summer the boutique has hired 2 interns instead of 1, which means the 2 of them are going to be competing for the 1 permanent position in the fall. This other intern happens to be Jordi Perez, and Abby finds herself rapidly falling for her competition. So I talk all the time on a lot of social media about how much I want female rom-coms, and this is exactly what I have been looking for. I am so happy. I don't know what else to say besides the fact that it is beyond happy, beyond delightful. It's got a great aesthetic. It's set in California in the summertime. There are burgers and pool parties and misunderstandings, and it's just so good. Abby herself is a great character with a lot of motivation, with a lot of insecurity, but what I really loved about this is that it is a book in which both characters are out. Abby and Jordi are both out to their parents, and they use the words gay and lesbian on page, which is a lot more rare than people will lead you to believe. A lot of the time, when you see sapphic girls in books, you are led to assume that they must be lesbians because they say that they are attracted to girls. But the word lesbian itself, or even any of them saying that they are gay, doesn't happen super often. So to hear it repeated on a bunch of different pages was really validating and nice. I can't recommend this book enough if you are also on the look for romances between ladies that are just rom-com-y and summery and fun. I can't recommend it enough, and I wound up giving The Summer of Jordi Perez 4 out of 5 stars. And the final book that I want to talk about is a BookTube favorite. Believe me, I now see why. It is Homegoing by Yaa Gyasi. Homegoing starts in Ghana in the 1700s, and it follows 2 half-sisters who are unaware of each other's existence. One of them marries an Englishman and is taken to Cape Coast Castle to live out a life of luxury. The other is captured and imprisoned in that same castle and later sold into slavery. Each of the book's chapters then follow a descendant of one of these 2 sisters, so it becomes this long line of seeing how this family has been split and how their descendants carry on in the generations afterwards. It's a story of collective trauma and tragedy, but it's also about bonds over time, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I mean, this book is set over hundreds of years of time, and you only get to see little snippets of each of these characters' lives, and yet I felt like I knew every single one of them within a few pages. The ways these spaces and times were set up to enforce connection and separation, it's like, I couldn't stop thinking about it the entire time I was reading it. It took me a while because there's so much to get through, even considering that it's such a short book, but every single chapter is so jam-packed with wonderful, wonderful things. Also, just putting it out there, but when I read the final chapter, I sobbed like a child. I sat in my bed and I sobbed, and I closed the book and I sobbed some more, and I cannot recommend this book enough. I completely understand why this became so popular, why it was so celebrated. It's worth the celebration. It's beautiful, and I wound up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. Okay guys, that is it. Those are the books that I read in the month of May. What did you think of these books? Have you read any of them? Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!